right. Good evening, everyone. We're glad that you can all be here with us this evening. We are honoring our Penguins of the Year, Rick Frida and the Morrisons, Jim and Kathy, along with our championship teams from this past year. My name is Rob Schmidt. I'll be your host for the evening. Before we get started, the old standby, please turn your phones off or set them to vibrate. Would not want to hear one of those unsightly ringtones while our student athletes are speaking. All right, to start things off, there are several people who have made this event possible that we would like to thank here this evening. Thanks to the staff and management at Mr. Anthony's for their hospitality. If we could have a nice round of applause for them and all that they do. Thanks to Cavelli Enterprises for its continued support of YSU athletics. Thanks to our friends at Birkeland Flowers for the beautiful centerpieces. Remember the old standby, you can take the flowers, but do not take the vases. All right. Special thanks to KDC Printing for its work on tonight's banquet program. Hopefully you had an opportunity to look through that, read a little bios on our Penguins of the Year, look at our past Penguins of the Year, and read up on our student athletes. Also, thank you to all the area businesses who placed ads in our banquet program book. We cannot do it without you. Thank you. And we appreciate the work of LED3. We're going to put them to work, the video screens to my left and right. For their usage, Greg Roten in the back from Armstrong for recording tonight's banquet and keeping it for posterity. I'd also like to recognize a few people who put this event together. If they would please stand. Tom Morella, Austin Snodgrass, and Sarah Dahm. Thank you. A lot of work, as you can imagine, goes into an event such as this, and we thank them for their time and their diligence. Also, the YSU Athletic Department continues to reach unprecedented success on the playing surface and in the classroom. The driving force behind this is our Executive Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at YSU, Ron Strollo. Ron, please stand. Before I am done, you will speak at this banquet, okay? Just know that I still have another 10 years of maybe doing this, so sometime in between there. Also, we would like to recognize our entire athletic department, the staff members who are here in attendance, if they would please stand. I know a lot of them are to my right. Would they all please stand and get a nice round of applause for all that they do? Thank you. It's a labor of love for our staff here at YSU. This past fall, nearly 500 YSU student athletes had a banner semester, combining for an impressive 3.46 grade point average. A total of 374 of those student athletes had a GPA above 3. 118 of them posted a perfect 4.0. More than half of those student athletes maintained a cumulative GPA of 4.0. Overall, a total of 13 sports boosted a GPA of 3.4 or higher. Women's golf had the best team GPA for this past semester of 3.97. So when we say student athletes at Youngstown State, we mean student athletes at Youngstown State. Now, as you know, this event not only helps raise money for the athletic scholarships, but also championship rings for those student athletes. And tonight we are recognizing 6 of our teams that have either won a league championship or reached the NCAA tournament this past year. That includes women's bowling, men's indoor and outdoor track and field, women's tennis, softball, and men's cross country. We'd like to congratulate their head coaches, Doug Kaburski, Brian Gorby, Mikkel Sopel, and Brian Campbell. If they would please stand, along with their coaching staffs and the student athletes from those sports, for a job well done. All right, it's my honor now to introduce our first speaker of the night. After a distinguished career in the U.S. Air Force and a member of Congress, he began his term as the 10th president of Youngstown State University in January of last year. He has made a positive impact both on campus and throughout the community. His commitment to service, strategic vision, and collaborative leadership aligns perfectly with the future of Youngstown State and its needs. It's my honor to introduce to you our president, Bill Johnson.
Well, thank you, Rob. It is so good to be here. I can't tell you how honored the First Lady, Leanne, and I are to be here this evening. I can tell you that this last year has been quite an experience. What an amazing institution. What an amazing group of students, coaches, athletes. We have enjoyed every single minute of it. I am so honored to have been selected by the board to hold this position as the 10th president. I tell the board all the time, and I sincerely mean it, I'm so glad they hired Leanne to be the First Lady and let me tag along. It's worked out really good that way. I'm exceptionally pleased to have the position now that I know that it's simply a stepping stone to higher office. So I'm waiting. I have my phone. I didn't turn my ringer off in case the president or the governor calls me. I'll be ready to go. Look, this last year, we've been presented with some challenges, and what a great board and leadership team we have. If you look at our enrollment last fall, our enrollment was up 11%. And if you've been tracking that around the state, it was the highest enrollment increase in the entire state, not by just a little bit, by a long shot. This spring, we're up 9.5% over this time last spring. That's a great thing. We spent most of last year, bringing on an entire new curriculum of programs, 66, I believe it is, new programs to fill the void that was left when the only community college in our region, Eastern Gateway Community College, had to shut its doors. We're not going to go into the whys and wherefores of that, but the governor called us in the winter in the December of 23, asked us if we could intervene and step into the gap. And your leadership team, our leadership team, our faculty, our academic senate worked their fannies off last year to put in 60 plus new programs to fill that void. And about 1,100 of the students that used to be Eastern Gateway students are now at Youngstown State University or were at one time or another. I was walking out of Cracker Barrel last weekend. Yeah, I do eat country ham, so I was at Cracker Barrel. And we were stopped by a lady at a table, and she said, I just got to tell you, she said, you're the president out at YSU, right? And I said, yes, I am. She said, well, I want to tell you how grateful we are for what YSU did for our daughter. Their daughter was sitting there with her 2 children. She was a single mom. And she said, I had just started my nursing program at Eastern Gateway Community College when we heard that they were going to be closing the doors. She said, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going to go to school or if I could afford to go to school anywhere else. And she said, when you guys came on and offered your program and stood it up so that I could continue my education, she said, I am so grateful, and I have decided I'm not just going to stop with my associate's degree like I started out. She said, I'm now enrolled in the BS degree in the bachelor's program at YSU, and we are so grateful for that. And we've had a lot of Eastern Gateway Community College students. But one of the biggest things that we've been involved in that I want you to take a look at, you know, the Kilcawley Student Center, built in the 1960s, she's an old girl. She has been around for a long time. It's a 1960s vintage government building. I told somebody the other day, when you walk through it, if you can close your eyes, you almost feel like you're at a VA hospital or something. That's the kind of building it is. And I guarantee you there's another government building somewhere that looks just like it because they cut it out of a cookie cutter, right? That's the way they did those things back in those days. Well, we started on a project last year, launched our campaign in November, and we're making really good progress. We've raised over almost $9 million. We've accumulated between what the state gives us, what the university has been able to reappropriate. We've got about $22 million in the bank to renovate the Kilcawley Student Center. I want to show you a video of what this is going to look like so it'll get everybody here. If you haven't seen this, you're going to be really excited. It's going to be a two and a half year project. We're going to do it in phases because we can't afford to shut the building down. We've got 174 student groups that call that place home, 12,000 plus students that go through there every day to study, to meet, to gather, and to do what college students do. So let's roll the video. I want you to take a look at what we're going to be doing with the Kilcawley renovation project. God bless you, and thanks for having me tonight, folks.
The Kilcawley Centered on the Future campaign is a comprehensive initiative designed to transform and modernize Kilcawley Center, which serves as the heart of student life at YSU. The renovation will provide collaborative spaces that promote innovation, creativity, and community. It is a critical investment in the future of YSU students. Join us in the Centered on the Future campaign to help ensure Kilcawley Center remains a vibrant, dynamic space for future generations of students to learn, grow, and connect with one another. Contact the YSU Foundation to get involved.
You can applaud for that. Many of you in this room have helped make this project successful and possible, and so we appreciate that. Let me close by saying this. I'm so glad to be able to be here tonight to honor our honorees. Rick Frida, I've known him for years, has been such a strong supporter of YSU on virtually every board in town that I know of. And Rick, I am so grateful for your friendship, and thanks for everything that you do for our university. And Jim and Kathy Morrison, thanks to you too for all that you do. It means so very much to us. You guys have been around since 1964, maybe even earlier than that. I'm sure they're going to say a lot of things about you guys, so I'm not going to steal the thunder, but I'm honored to be here on the night that you folks are being honored as Penguins of the Year. God bless you.
Just to follow up to the president, he and his wife, Leanne, has made a contribution of $100,000 to the Kilcawley project. They put their money where their mouth is. Project's expected to start in May. Now, if you'll give me a second, I'm a little befuddled. I can't get past Cracker Barrel. So, have you tried the catfish there yet? You eat the catfish? Yeah, that's my guy, right? Very nice. You play that little game on with the pegs? Have you? I can only get 3. Then I throw it against the wall and they escort me out. All right. I like this guy. All right. As many of you know, the Penguin Club and its members play a vital role in the success of the athletic department here at Youngstown State. Most of you are already members. I'd like to bring up the president of the Penguin Club now, Ted Schmidt, to tell you more about the importance of becoming a member.
Thanks, Rob. For those of you who don't know, the Penguin Club was founded in 1974 as a booster club to raise funds for our athletic departments, 21 sports, and 500 plus students. And as Rob mentioned, memberships would really drive those revenues to do what we can. And there are 3 types of memberships. There's a Gridiron Club, we have the Courtside Coaches Club, and just the regular Penguin Club. For those interested, contact myself, Jim Morrison, or Tom Morella. And we'd love to have more members join us. We run 4 main fundraisers. Obviously, tonight's our largest. As you can see, we'll probably have about 1,000 people here tonight. Next up is a World Penguin Day on April 25th. We have our State Farm Golf outing in June, always sells out, and our Jamboree in November, which is always a fun event. And we also have 2 other luncheons. We have the Hall of Fame luncheon, and we have a Scholar Athlete Awards banquet in April. So most people probably wonder, where does the money go? Where do we spend our money that you guys help raise? Each year, we support the following. Last year, 58 students received money from the Joe Malzberg Scholarship Fund. That's an incredible accomplishment over the years to be able to touch that many students. In excess of $40,000 that we raise go toward technology for computers for the athletic department staff and coaches. And obviously tonight is for the rings for our championship teams. But in addition to that, we also support capital projects. In the last 25 years, we have donated over $2 million to projects such as the Tobacco Family Classroom, the Karanovich Family Sports Medicine Center, Loge renovations, Cavelli Sports Complex, and the Watts. And recently, our board has approved a $100,000 contribution to the Kilcawley Center that you heard the president just talk about. And people wonder, well, that's not a sports complex. But if you think about it, Kilcawley is a home away from home for everybody. Our student athletes need a place to go to be able to socialize and hang out, so we thought it was a perfect connection for us to support that project. You know what, my closing comments, when I had an executive come in from PNC visiting the market, and he's driving in from the Cleveland airport, and we're having dinner, and he says, "What was that monstrosity that I saw on the horizon?" And I said, that's our football stadium. And that's even before the lights are gonna go up. He was so impressed with what we have and the Watt Center. And this gentleman has some experience in football. He played for Boston College. So he was really impressed with what we have. I had another colleague come into town. Her daughter was in for a lacrosse event. She's in high school. She's from Alabama. Just totally blown away with our facilities. And at that time, she was also informed of the new Kilcawley Center, saying, "This is incredible. We just have so much that we kind of take for granted when we look at, if you're not there every day or you're there every day, you just don't see it." So I was really impressed with those comments that I received. And lastly, everybody has an athlete at your table. And you get to chat a little bit tonight. I don't know if you really understand what these athletes go through. I do as a parent. Two of my kids were student athletes here at YSU. I have seen their maturity level grow, their commitment, the dedication that they have, and just the structure that our athletic program offers them. And they will have those lifelong friendships forever. So I just, again, have another conversation with that student athlete, make a bond, and hopefully when they graduate, they'll make a great employee for your company. So thank you again for coming, and we'll enjoy the rest of the program.
Ted wanted me to mention, just to make sure that we are not related. Ted felt that was important to make sure that people didn't think that we were actually blood relatives, just friends. Didn't want to embarrass him too much. All right, all of our coaches, as you well know, much like our student athletes, put in a lot of time to make sure that they have the best possible experience that they can have. Also, continue to drive them and build successful programs and make them fine young men and women. Would our coaches who are in attendance tonight please stand? We'd like to have you be recognized for all of your efforts and the way that you have molded our young student athletes. Would our coaches in attendance again please stand? All right, with that in mind, our next speaker is in his first season as the head coach of the men's basketball program. He's guided the Penguins to 19 wins this season, and has them within a game of first place in the Horizon League. We enter the final week of the campaign with a trip to Northern Kentucky in the offing on Saturday as they prepare for the 2025 Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. It's been a thrill to work with this man, and I hope to continue to work with him for years to come. Would you please welcome head coach Ethan Faulkner.
I'll start. I gave our team a little bit of an extra thank you yesterday that we were able to pull that win out. I wasn't looking forward to being booed tonight if we wasn't able to win that game yesterday. But we've got a great group. So many of them are here today. We got 5 or 6 of our student athletes here today. Really, really high character group, a really fun group to be around and coach. Proud to be their coach and proud of what we've been able to do so far this year. It is a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to speak on behalf of our entire athletic department, on behalf of our coaches here at Youngstown State, and express the gratitude that we have for all of you guys that are in this room. I would like to start by expressing how honored I am to be the head coach here at Youngstown State. This is truly a dream come true for me to be able to do this, what I love to do day in and day out. And we're going to continue to work extremely hard to make this university, to make our fan base, and to make our city proud of what we do on and off the court. Every time we get an opportunity to gather in a setting like this where we get to interact with all of our supporters, I'm reminded every time of what a special place we have here at Youngstown. And what makes it special is all of you in this room, the support we have from all of you. There is a commitment in this room to seeing our athletic department be the very best and have the very best and provide the very best experience for our student athletes. I thought it'd be fitting with Mr. Rick Friday being Penguin of the Year to give you a quick example of maybe what I'm talking about. Rick's become a really, really good friend of mine. He's obviously been an avid supporter of our program, not just our men's basketball program, but our entire university for many, many years. And, from time to time, Rick will stop by in the office or stop by at practice, watch us practice, or say, just stop by in the office to say hello. And it's almost like clockwork. Every time it gets time for Rick to leave, to go on about his business, he always tells me the same phrase. He says, "Tell me what you need." Right? Tell me what you need. And so many of you guys have that mindset and have that thought process about supporting our programs across all of our sports, supporting our university. And Rick, man, I thank you for all you do for us. I'm confident that many of our coaches could stand up here before you and tell a similar story about so many other people that are in this room. But again, what we're able to do here at Youngstown State could certainly not be done without all of you guys. As coaches, we all take great pride in putting a product on the court or on the field that is successful and represents our university in the right way. As supporters, you guys all take great pride in seeing us have the success that we have and seeing our athletic department flourish the way that it is flourishing right now. Well, unfortunately for so many of you guys, what you don't get to see, like we do as coaches, is the day-to-day, right? What the student-athlete experience is like on a day-to-day basis at Youngstown, and I can tell you it is unique. Our student-athletes have every resource that they need to be successful academically, athletically, and socially. We get to compete in some of the best facilities our leagues have to offer, and constantly are making upgrades. For us, the Beagley Center project that's taken place over the last 18 months has been remarkable. It's going to give us a huge advantage moving forward. But across all of our sports, our facilities are some of the very best in our leagues, and again are constantly being upgraded. Our name, image, and likeness campaigns are thriving, giving our student athletes an opportunity that is very, very unique in terms of the name, image, and likeness landscape. The way that our students live, our on-campus apartments are remarkable. The way that we travel, the meals that we're able to provide, the gear that we're able to provide our student athletes are all things that are very, very unique. And we could not do that without the support in this room And for that, I thank you on behalf of all of our coaches and athletic department. I believe great athletic departments have great alignment, everyone pulling in the same direction. I can say without hesitation that we certainly have that here at Youngstown State. I would like to take the opportunity to thank President Johnson, our Board of Trustees, Ron Strollo, and all of our administrators for their commitment to our athletic department and to our student athletes. Lastly, I want to congratulate our Penguins of the Year, Rick Friday, Jim and Kathy Morrison. You guys have spent years of service and dedication to our university and to our athletic department. I want to personally thank you, and I would ask that all of you guys join me in a round of applause in thanking our Penguins of the Year. Again, I'm honored to be here, honored to be the head coach. We're going to continue to work really hard to make you guys proud. Thank you guys all for being here and your continued support of our athletic department. Go Gwins.
Very nice, very nice. Just a reminder that we are hoping that we will have a pair of Horizon League tournament games for you next week. The women are hopeful to host a first-round game on Tuesday, and the men are hoping to host a quarterfinal game on Thursday. So keep your fingers crossed as they continue to close out the regular season. Our student athletes do so much more, though, than just go to class and play their respective sports. They make such an impact in our community by volunteering their time to help area organizations and assist with various events. The softball team is a prime example of that. They not only won the regular season championship this past season, but posted the third highest team GPA and led the athletic department in community hours served. We ask that you please direct your attention now to the video screens to find out more about their impact in our valley.
I recently had the opportunity to serve on a young women's panel here at YSU through United Way, and it reminded me of a lot of being back home in West Virginia where I serve my church in third grade. I love serving with third grade girls. They're so fun. And while I was on this panel, they were able to ask me questions about my life here at YSU, what it's like playing college sports, and what I do outside of sports. And around this time, I was about to start an internship, so I got to tell these young girls about my life outside of softball and how I have like a work-life balance with softball and serving my community and also working a job.
I think volunteering is a really good opportunity, not only for student athletes, but for everyone, and I really like that we're able to incorporate being student athletes into volunteering because it makes it look like we're bigger than just ourselves. And I think my favorite memory volunteering personally was being back at home, being from Maryland, and being able to represent Youngstown student athletes even away from here. But a lot of the times that we got to come back here and work together as a team and go to community services really incorporated that community feeling and connecting me more to Youngstown and the community of Youngstown in general.
I definitely think that volunteering in this community made me feel way more connected to it. I didn't know a lot about Youngstown before coming here, and I've loved volunteering anyway, so it felt really good to be able to give back and feel closer to the community that I was representing.
I've been here since the fall of 2020, and Youngstown has become a second home for me through the community service and through academics and being on a team. I am proud of my team for the GPA that we got.
I think it's something that's very important for these young ladies to get an opportunity to go out and get back to the community. They do 10 hours per year. It helps them when they graduate to have 40 hours of community service to put on their resume. Well, it comes down to being a student athlete. You know, when we recruit kids to come here, you're a student first, athlete second. And when they're competing in the classroom, you know, you feel that they're going to compete on the field. And for those young ladies last year to be third in the country as far as team GPA, it was just awesome, and they take pride of that. And you know, I think that the comments from a few of them were that there's 2 more spots that they'd like to get to, which is nice to see. But it's an accomplishment to how well they do in the classroom and how much pride they take when they walk in there.
Special thanks to Trevor Parks and Jeremiah Robinson for putting that video together. We'll take a little twist. We haven't done this before. Thanks to Sarah, we're going to take a little turn in the road here. Thanks to the Olenek family and Sydney Candle Company for sponsoring our candle gift giveaway. I talked about the flowers that you can take, not the vases, but we also have candles at your table. So here's what we need you to do. Check the first page of your program. All right, you get a chance to rustle through the program. Check the first page. If there is a neon circle sticker, you win the candle at your table. Oh, that's created a buzz. Maybe we should have auctioned them off instead. Trading is allowed if you'd like to. All right? But if you do trade, I would charge for that trade. All right. Congratulations to those of you that get to take your candle home at your table. Thank you to the Olenek family and Sydney Candle Company. All right, aside from the candle giveaway, one of the best highlights of this night is having an opportunity to meet our student athletes and hear about their experiences at YSU. I knew I'd lose the room. All right, we have two great student athletes for you to hear from this evening. Our first student athlete is a junior on the YSU softball team. She's also a marketing major who recently had the privilege of moderating the Venus Williams Lecture on the YSU campus. The Winfield, West Virginia native and recipient of the Elaine Jacobs Softball Scholarship joins us tonight to share her experiences as a Penguin. Please say hello to Kennedy Dean.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kennedy Dean, and I am a junior on the women's softball team. I would like to start by congratulating all of the champions in the room tonight. Your commitment to your sport, your teammates, and your school is admirable, and I am honored to share this privilege with you. To our Penguins of the Year. First, Mr. Rick Frida, a true servant leader and the epitome of a humanitarian. Jim and Kathy Morrison, Penguins through and through. Your dedication to our university is inspiring, and we could never repay your sacrifices. Thank you all for your commitment to YSU. You are the gold standard of what it means to be a Youngstown State University Penguin. I would like to share my journey to YSU. I am from the beautiful mountains of West Virginia. I grew up in a town similar to Youngstown. I am the daughter of two Marshall University graduates. My father, a Marshall football alumnus. He always jokes that I never would have been allowed to come here in the 90s because of the fierce competition between Marshall and YSU for football national championships. My response to him: don't blame me for choosing a university that knows how to win them. YSU has been the best decision I have ever made for myself. You all have contributed so much to our university. I want to highlight some of the things you have given me. You have given me the opportunity to move away from home and grow into a confident young woman. Being on my own has pushed me to develop independence, resilience, and a sense of self-reliance. I have learned to navigate life's obstacles, make important decisions, and take responsibility for my growth. You have played a pivotal role in shaping my professional journey. I've had the privilege of interning for an elected councilwoman at the City of Las Vegas, gaining firsthand insight into leadership and public service. Additionally, working for Youngstown Clothing Company has allowed me to stay rooted in the community and contribute to something meaningful. I even had the chance to sit face-to-face with Venus Williams and listen to invaluable advice from a world-class athlete and entrepreneur. You have given me the advantage of training in state-of-the-art facilities and playing on the best field in the Horizon League. On that field, I have danced, laughed, cried more than I'd like to admit, and became a champion. This ring you have given me, a constant reminder of the hard work, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment it took to get here. This ring represents the early mornings, the late nights, the setbacks, and the comebacks. More than a trophy, it's a symbol of the lessons learned and the unbreakable bond with my teammates. You have given me my best friends, my support system, and one day, the bridesmaids in my wedding. I never imagined a gritty steel town in Northeast Ohio would give me so much. So in conclusion, I would like to give you all something, a promise. I promise to carry the values instilled in me at Youngstown and use them to make a positive impact on the world. I promise to treat people with the same kindness that you, the people of Youngstown, have shown me. And I promise to proudly speak about my home in the Mahoning Valley. I thank you all again for your support and congratulate our Penguins of the Year. Thank you, and go Gwens.
You know, Kennedy, I don't think I've ever seen anybody turn an audience as quickly as you did. Right? They were going to stone you, and then about 30 seconds later, they were going to applaud you and lift you up like you're a queen. Well done. You should put that story on your website, kennedydean.com. It's an actual website. I went to it today. That would be a great story to post, right? All right, I'll read about it tomorrow. Our next student athlete just finished competing in the Horizon League Swimming and Diving Championships. A senior from Minden, Ohio, he is majoring in telecommunications at YSU. In fact, he loves swimming so much it has given him a chance to explore his dreams of being a sportscaster. He's got a great story to tell. Here's Taryn Frodema.
How's everybody doing tonight? You doing good? There we go. By the way, Rob, it's Minden, Iowa, but, well, I'll let that slide. Good evening, everybody. If my voice sounds a little hoarse, we did just come off of a very successful Horizon League Championships, and there was a lot to scream about, so I'm going to power through this one just for you guys. My name is Taryn Frodema. I'm a 2-year team captain of the YSU Swimming and Diving team, and let me just say it is an honor and a privilege, along with Kennedy, to be the student-athlete representatives of the best university this country has to offer. Not only do we stand up here and represent the student-athletes in the room and this university, but we represent something that brings everybody in this room together, and that is the love and the pride for Penguin Nation here in Youngstown, Ohio. Before I give you my journey, I believe we have plenty of special guests here tonight who deserve way more recognition. First, our 2025 Penguins of the Year, Mr. Rick Frida. Thank you for your unwavering dedication to YSU athletics and the selfless contributions you have made for the benefit of all student athletes, past, present, and future. And the Morrisons, Jim, and his lovely wife, Kathy. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for over 60 years of service to this university. The impact that you have both had on us Penguins has been nothing short of monumental. I would also like to take this opportunity to send a heartfelt thank you from everybody here to the Penguin Club, all of whose members are with us tonight, and those who are unable to attend, for keeping us spoiled with the best facilities, various scholarships, championship rings, and everything in between. I'd like to acknowledge the 6 champions that we have in the room as well, beginning with the dominant men's track and field team who took both the 2024 indoor and outdoor league titles this past year, the women's tennis team who took home the 2024 Horizon League championship as well. Our women's bowling squad reached the Final Four of the NCAA tournament once again this year. Our 2024 regular season softball champions made their mark in Horizon League history this past year as well. And rounding out this list of champions is the 2024 men's cross country group. Let's give them a big round of applause. These accomplishments and everybody in this room are the reasons that YSU is as special as it is. My journey to YSU is what I like to call life-changing. I come from a very small town in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. And growing up, I would commute just over 45 minutes to Omaha, Nebraska for school every day, where I would go to school for elementary, middle, and high school. So when people ask me where I'm from, I usually just say near Omaha to save us all a little bit of time. I was a lifelong swimmer. My mom was a former coach of the 2004 Paralympic swim team in Athens, Greece, and a collegiate swimmer herself. Chlorine was practically in my bloodstream by the time I was born, and I knew that Division I swimming was something I wanted to do following in my mother's footsteps. But I never quite knew where it was going to take me. I wasn't anything all that special in the water, but I knew that I had a dream to be a Division I swimmer. And YSU gave me that opportunity, and I jumped on it immediately. I connected with my coach, the campus, and the culture that YSU had to offer, even at the heights of the COVID pandemic. As I mentioned, I wasn't anything special. I was definitely not a blue chip recruit by any means. I mean, look at the jacket I was wearing. You think I was looking this good when I was getting recruited? I wasn't the cream of the crop, which is a nice little corn reference. Shout out Minden, Iowa. But what Coach Brad Smith saw in me was something that I worked really, really hard to get. And that was the reputation of being a leader, a charismatic personality, and the hardest worker imaginable. Some would call this the personality recruit. Every team has one. It's okay. And I wear that badge with pride. But how is it that this small kid from Minden, Iowa, who grew up so secluded from even his educational institutions, developed himself into an outgoing, affable, and cordial human being? The answer is the people who surrounded me. The second I became a part of this team here in Youngstown, it was unlike anything I've ever experienced before. I am over 850 miles away from my hometown, yet I feel most at home when I'm in Youngstown. There's just something about spending 20 plus hours a week with people who work harder than anybody I know and overcome some of life's biggest and most treacherous obstacles, all in the pursuit of success that whips you into character pretty dang fast. Coach Brad likes to tell us that you're most greatly impacted by the 5 people that you're around the most. And luckily for me, I have 65 best friends at all times who help sculpt this. So you can thank them if you don't like what you see. I've been fortunate enough to have teammates who I look at as family, who I know will have my back whenever I needed them, and who are willing to be there for me when I needed them the most. And trust me, there's more than one instance where I needed them way more than they ever needed me. I have found myself and my personality alongside my teammates. And to them, many of which are in the room tonight, I want to say thank you. I love you guys forever. Over the last 4 years as a member of this institution, I have taken advantage of every opportunity that I have had put in front of me. I am fortunate enough to stand in front of you as a 2-year team captain, the vice president of the YSU Student Athlete Advisory Committee, the Penguin representative on the Horizon League Student Athlete Advisory Committee, the inaugural Horizon League Swimming and Diving Sportsmanship Award winner, and a member of multiple YSU men's swimming and diving All-American teams. I mention this not to boast, but to put into perspective what a kid with limited opportunities from Corn Country, USA can accomplish in such a perfect environment. I owe all of these accolades to my coach and dear friend Bradley Smith, who I know is sitting in the back. I had to hunt for him earlier because I couldn't find him. Brad is the bravest, most supportive, and probably the most strong influence in my life. The last 4 years have been magical, and as my late great-grandfather John Peake would always say, we made a lot of memories that will last a lifetime, and I hope I lived up to the potential that you saw in me, and I hope that I'm the best personality recruit you ever had. As I'm looking back on this, my 17-year-old self coming out of high school would have had his jaw on the floor, puzzled at how all this was accomplished in such a quick amount of time. And as I mentioned, I can give very little credit to myself. I've had the opportunity to spend so much of my time here surrounded by teammates and fellow student athletes who have impacted my character in such a positive manner. But the professors, coaches, athletic staff, athletic department as a whole, and all those alike who have put so much of their time and effort in answering every little question that I had, taking the time out of their day to make sure that my needs were met before their own, and to reassure me that this was the correct decision never goes unnoticed. Not only was coming to YSU the correct decision, it was the single greatest decision that I've ever made in my entire life. I was fortunate enough to graduate in December with my degree in sports broadcasting, a lifelong dream of mine since I began watching Peyton Manning beat the Chicago Bears in the 2006 Super Bowl. This university allowed me to study my passion, instructed by professionals all over the industry, and gave me the confidence to pursue my passion as a lifelong career. This past summer, I got the opportunity to work the 2024 U.S. Olympic swim trials with NBC Sports in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium, the home of the Indianapolis Colts. Through this job, I got the opportunity to work as the right-hand man to my idol, former Olympic gold medalist and former world record holder, and the current voice of swimming, Rowdy Gaines. I had posters of this man up on my wall growing up, and I've listened to countless swimming broadcasts with his voice in it, and getting to work alongside him was something that definitely was on the bucket list, but never thought to be achievable. This experience in Indianapolis then became a remote position where I got to work the 2024 Paris Olympic Games this past summer, this again as the head swimming research analyst and right-hand man to my childhood hero, Rowdy Gaines, once again. Keep in mind, 17-year-old me's jaw is still on the floor, so it probably won't come up anytime soon. I remember talking with my professors and athletic staff about how I should approach taking such a big risk and putting myself out there for something like this, in hopes that maybe I would get to work one of the biggest events that my sport had ever seen in its entire history. And not once did I ever get a word of doubt or discouragement. And that's when I realized that's what this entire city is based on. It's about the grit and the persistence of your goals and your dreams that makes Youngstown so special. Youngstown was built on grit. It was built on the courage to keep going and the desire to be great. This room, this university, and this city are personifications of that. Following the 2024 season, I decided to get the Y tattooed on my side. Many looked at me with surprising questions. Oh, I heard a couple of people go, oh, okay, I hear you guys. Wondering why would I do such a thing, ink something on my body. Not only did I ink the Y on my body, I also inked a lifetime contract for people to ask me why I have a Y in the state of Ohio on my rib cage, but that's okay. But whenever they do ask me that, it brings a smile to my face because I get to tell them the reason that I wanted to get this university on me forever is because it shaped me into the person who I'm proud to be forever. Thank you to everybody here for all of the efforts that you make to create stories just like mine, and everybody in this room has those. With that, I leave you with one last, go Gwins forever.
I said Minden, Ohio? I was right. Minden, and you're in Ohio. You got it on your rib cage. I just merged the two and cut to the chase. A couple of things for Taryn, though. We hope that one day, when we look back at you, you will become the voice of swimming. Best of luck in your career. Also, to kind of bring this thing full circle, Taryn was selected as a student-athlete representative on the steering committee to help gauge ideas for the renovation of Kilcawley Center. All right, with that, we'd also like to recognize a couple of other students, one in attendance with us today. The YSU Athletic Department is fortunate to have a couple of individuals who work closely with our Athletic Communications Department and our Athletic Marketing Department. The recipient of the Chuck Perizich Scholarship Award, which is awarded to students who assist with Trevor Parks, Jamie Hall, John Vogel, Dre Smith, Madison Chapman, and their everyday endeavors, is Anthony Romo. Would Anthony please stand? He's now a graduate assistant in that program, does numerous things with ESPN+, another gentleman with a bright young future. And our Bruce Burge Scholarship goes annually to a student who assists us in athletic marketing. Our recipient this past year was Gordon Hitchcock, who has already graduated and has already started his professional career, having secured a job in the Columbus market. So we're very proud of those individuals as well. I'd now like to recognize our past Penguins of the Year, but sadly, it's with a heavy heart that one of our former recipients passed away this past Friday. Attorney Dennis Haynes was a true son of Youngstown. He loved Youngstown State and its athletic programs. His good deeds, support, and wisdom touched the lives of thousands. Dennis and his wife Janet provide a scholarship endowment for student athletes, endowed the football stadium's radio booth, and sponsor a player of the game for the football broadcasts. For their contributions, they were named Penguins of the Year in 2012 and were inducted into the YSU Athletics Hall of Fame in 2016. At this time, we would please like to have a moment of silence to remember our dear friend, Dennis Haynes. Thank you. I'd now like to recognize some other previous Penguins of the Year who are in attendance. Dave Collins, the Collins family, and Diamond Steel. Dave would please stand. Dave Dybel. The Hively family. Joe Carolla. Now, Dave and Joe, you know the Red Jackets are class, but they don't compare to Scott Schulich's. Dr. Daryl and Vicki Mincy. Ed Reese. Reed and Judy Schmutz. Mrs. Rosemarie Smith. Jeff Wilkins, and YSU football alumni in attendance. Another one of our past Penguins of the Year is here to introduce to you this year's recipient of the award. Would you please welcome the president of the YSU Foundation, Paul McFadden.
Thank you, Rob. It is a great honor to introduce our recipients this evening. And Rick, I just walked by all those Comco tables. What a legacy Comco has with our university and our athletic department. Where would we be without Comco Industries? And Rick is continuing this legacy. All started by Clarence and Rosemarie Smith. Rosemarie is here this evening. Their daughter, Gwen Smith Darnell, former president of the Penguin Club Board of Trustees. Their son, Greg, is here, adjunct faculty at Youngstown State University. And the late Jim Green and Arnold Collins, all leaders for our Penguin Club and our university, all from Comco Industries. So what a gratitude we have to Rick and to Comco. Rick's mom and dad were born in Poland, not Poland, Ohio, Poland, the country, before World War II. In fact, Rick's mom, who's here this evening, was pressed into work in a German farm during the war. After the war, mom and dad both came to Youngstown. They hadn't met until they came to Youngstown, but they somehow found each other here on the south side of Youngstown, and not long after, Rick joined this world. Mom and dad were so proud to be Americans. They earned their American citizenship, but they were also, like Youngstowners, very proud of their Polish heritage. Their young son, Rick, went to elementary school at St. Stanislaw Elementary, went on to Cardinal Mooney High School. So what makes us proud to be Youngstowners? What are the words we use? Both our student athletes this evening use the word grit. We also say blue-collar attitude, work ethic, not afraid to get our hands dirty. Rick Frida, a first-generation American with a proud ethnic heritage, represents everything we are proud of to say we're Youngstowners, and then some. He is the most exemplary person I know to come to Youngstown, to be born and raised in Youngstown, and have his life journey. Could you bring up the first slide, please? Here's a photograph taken on a hot summer day at lunchtime at Comco on Hilda Avenue in 1982. I hope you on the side here can see it. The gentleman to the far right with the cap is the legendary Clarence Sonny Smith, already mentioned in my comments. Mr. Smith, at the time this photograph was taken, was president and CEO of Comco Industries. But also in this photograph is a future president and CEO of Comco Industries. Can you go to the second slide, please? Back row, fifth from the right, tired, dirty, probably smelly, Rick. I wasn't there that day, but you told me it was a hot day and there's no air conditioning in the plant. At the time this photo was taken, Rick's title was General Laborer, the lowest position at Comco Industries, the lowest entry-level position. In fact, when he arrived at work every day, he didn't even know what he was going to do. They told him when he arrived, he might sweep the floor, he might assist a press operator, general maintenance. He didn't even know what he was going to do each day. But he worked. He worked hard. And he started to learn the business. And he started to grow. And he was recognized for that. So they started to move him to different positions and move him up the ladder throughout the 1980s, throughout the 1990s. Recognized for his business acumen, Rick was moved from the plant into the corporate office, started to become a leader at Comco. And in the year 2007, the general laborer who swept the floors was named president and CEO of Comco. That journey from entry level to the top of the pyramid. Under Rick's leadership, their sales have gone from $12 million a year to $120 million a year. And how fortunate for our university and our community that Rick has been so giving of his time and his leadership abilities. Rick served on the board of Potential Development, the United Way, the Counseling Center of Columbiana County, Salvation Army, the Mahoning County Board of Developmental Disabilities, the Boys and Girls Club, and the SOD Club of Salem. As previously mentioned, Rick, long-standing member of the Penguin Club Board of Trustees, he only had to give up that title when he was named to our university Board of Trustees, of which he's currently serving and leading our university and assisting President Johnson. Rick and his wife Lisa have several connections with YSU through their children, as many of their children have matriculated to YSU for their education. It is an honor to call to the podium a true Youngstowner in every way, for every reason we're proud. The 2025 Penguin of the Year, Rick Frieda. There you go, there he is.
Wow. I think, in fact, I know, God puts us in places at the right time in front of the right people. And the right people were the Smith family. And when I got there in 1980, I had no clue. But my hat's off to Greg, and we're going to get started here. So good evening, everyone. I have many people to thank tonight, and I hope I don't miss anyone. It's truly an honor and humbling experience to stand before you tonight, to share this recognition with Jim and Kathy Morrison, whose generosity and dedication to this university and community have inspired so many is a privilege I will cherish forever. Their commitment is a shining example of how one can leave a lasting impact, and I am honored to be mentioned alongside them. Jim and Kathy, congratulations, and thank you for all you've done for this university. I want to thank my wife for her endless support, love, and encouragement. She's been the foundation of everything I've been able to accomplish since we've been together. She's been my rock, my greatest cheerleader, and I am so grateful to walk this journey with her. To my parents, Dad passed in 2017. But Mom is here today. They taught me to believe in God, love this country, to always respect people, and lastly, work hard and give back. Thank you for instilling in me the values of integrity, perseverance, and hard work. The work ethic you and Dad modeled shaped who I am today, and I carry your lessons with me in everything that I do. Now, to where God put me, to Greg Smith, who saw something in me. And Mr. Smith, a former Penguin of the Year, who may not be sitting here with us today, but I'm sure he's here somewhere. To Mrs. Smith, Gwen, and the entire Smith family, your confidence and generosity have not only changed my life, but also empowered me to give back to this university and community in ways I'd never thought possible. You've shown me the power of investing in others, and I am forever grateful. To my children, those that were able to attend are here today. Abby, Andrew, Ellie, Tyler. To my brothers, Steve and John, and their wives, Linda and Marie. To my co-workers, some who are past student athletes, Lucas and Evan. And my amazing friends. Your unwavering support means the world to me, and I am deeply grateful to all of you. I want to thank President Bill Johnson, Chair Peterson, and the university trustees, Dr. Pintar and the entire administration for your vision and leadership. You ensure that this great institution continues to thrive and that it remains a place of growth, opportunity, and a vital part of this community. I would like to thank the Penguin Club and their trustees for all they do for this university's athletics. The time you give and your tireless work supports not just the teams, but the giving spirit that defines all who love this university. I want to express my thanks and gratitude to Ron Strollo, who I always say does a lot with a little. The entire athletic department, the support staff, and coaches for the incredible work they do. What's most important is that your dedication to the student athletes not only builds strong teams, but shapes their character and future successes. Your efforts are a cornerstone of this university's success, and I thank you for all that you do. Now, the real reason why we're all here, our student athletes. They are at the heart of what makes this university so special to me. What they do day in and day out in class, in their respective sport, teaches them teamwork, discipline, and resilience. These are values that transcend the playing field and prepare our young men and women for success in life. Supporting these programs means that we are investing in the future, and I am honored to play a small part of that. I thank God for each and every one of you. You see, this really isn't just an incredible honor for me. It's an honor for everyone here. Those of you that have been a part of my life, that shaped and enabled me to be who I am and what I'm able to do. It's because of you that I stand here today being honored with Jim and Kathy, and I am proud to be a part of this great tradition. Together, we are all Penguins for life. Thank you, and go Gwins.
There is no couple that has been more committed, more loyal, sacrificed more, and have the longevity of supporting and working with the journey of Youngstown State University than Jim and Kathy Morrison. Indisputable. No one in this banquet hall, no one in the world. Jim started his career in the business office of Youngstown University. Youngstown University, not Youngstown State yet, in 1962. If someone started a career at YSU today and had the same longevity as Jim, and we were going to celebrate them after that same service as Penguins of the Year, well, we would hold that event in the year 2088. Could you bring up the first slide, please? This is where the story began. When I heard that Jim and Kathy went to the prom together, I said, we have to have that photo at the ring dinner. This is in the spring of 1959. This is a big night for Jim and Kathy. This was Jim's senior prom at Wilmington High and Kathy's junior prom at West Middlesex High, and they happened to be on the same evening. So as soon as I heard this photo existed, I said, you gotta bring that photo in. And Jim brought it in a couple days later into the office, and I saw the photo. I said, wow, Jim, beautiful, exquisite. And he smiled and said, yeah, 59 Plymouth convertible. I said, no, Jim, Kathy and her dress, but you like the car, that's okay. Shortly after this photo was taken, like young people, they both moved on with their educations. Jim came to Youngstown University. Kathy went to Trumbull Nursing School. Kathy graduated from nursing a few years later, had a 40-year career in that noble profession of nursing. Early in her career, she was a floater. Most of her career she spent in long-term care. While she was doing that, Jim was at the university and took his job in the university business office in 1962. In 1967, the way this shows how human resources has changed, Dyke Beatty walks into his office and says, I need someone in athletics to help me with business functions. Jim said, okay. So Dyke said, okay, pick up your stuff, let's go, you start today. That day, he started. And to say things were different back then would be the understatement of the century. Jim did tickets. He was in charge of concessions. He purchased equipment. He was in charge of team travel. He did everything for the athletic department. All right, could you bring up the second slide? Because Jim and Kathy really didn't want me to leave the prom up too long. This is the photo that Jim and Kathy really like for their journey with YSU. This is in the parade at the 2004 homecoming. So I had breakfast with Jim and Kathy a couple weeks ago, and their stories are unbelievable. We sat for 2 hours. I could have sat for 10. I'm not going to bore you tonight, so I'm going to share 2 highlights. And their stories are unbelievable. So 1970, Jim's only in athletics a couple years. The legendary Dyke Beatty walks in and says, Jim, I want the Penguin on the sideline at the University of Tampa on Saturday. Now, to our student athletes, back then, we had a penguin, a bird, a real bird, an animal. It had a little pen outside of Todd Hall. And Jim's like, oh, Tampa in Florida. So we had to make special provisions, get this thing crated up, shipped down on a plane. As soon as they land, he runs to the store, buys a kiddie pool and bags of ice. And he spent the next day and a half dumping ice water over the Penguin's head. And he made it. Jim got the Penguin back, crated up, sent it home, and the Penguin lived. So Jim, I had to go to Trevor Park's website, and I looked up that game. We lost. Yeah, so your superhuman efforts. So Kathy's telling me what she did through the years. Worked tickets, so many events. She worked concessions. For 4 years, she was a cheerleading advisor. And I'm sure like you, I said, Kathy, I never knew you were an employee. She wasn't. She's been a volunteer for the entire journey with Jim. And you know how often we see Kathy at everything. She has never been an employee. So Kathy's incredible story. She's cheerleader advisor. We've got a game in Eastern Illinois, 7-hour drive. Finishes her shift. They said, we rented a van for you, Kathy. Go pick it up, pick up cheerleading team. She runs down there. They rented a cargo van. No seats, nothing, just an empty shell, steel walls and a steel floor. Now, Kathy's industrious. She has a friend who works at a mattress store. She drives down there quick, says, hey, I got this problem. Her friend says, I got you. She comes out with all this foam padding. They put all this foam padding in the cargo van. Drives down to campus, says, come on, cheerleaders, we got 7 hours in front of us, pile in. I wanted to share with our student athletes, next time you're having a rough travel, you're not sitting in a cargo van on foam padding for 7 hours going to Champaign, Illinois. They talk so much of their memories. One memory that they hold close to their heart was in 1982, the first game at Stambaugh Stadium. Think of that. This is their 20th year working at the university in 1982. And that day was like a day on steroids for them. They had to do tickets, get concessions up, get a stadium up for the first time. And late in that day, long after the game, they walked to the top of the stadium and they looked out arm in arm and said, we finally have a home. And that's a day that they always remember. Jim and Kathy were married in 1964. This year, they'll be married 61 years. Congratulations. So at the end of our breakfast, they were tired of my questions and asking more stories, and I said, anything else? They said no, but then Kathy, if you remember, I grabbed my pen. Because Kathy Morrison said, well, when I look out now and see where we are, it makes me feel good because we've come so far and we were a part of it. Maybe the understatement of the century. I will end my comments as they began. No couple has been more committed, more loyal, sacrificed more, or has the longevity of Jim and Kathy. It's an honor to call to the podium the 2025 Penguins of the Year, Jim and Kathy Morrison.
Paul, I thank you, I think, for all those kind words. Just remember, the last guy to speak, though, gets the last shot. Good evening, all. A word, though, to the staff for next year. I think the center area needs a video board. Sitting here, you can't see anything. We'll work that into the budget. Kathy and I are honored, humbled, and excited to be named Penguins of the Year along with Rick. Rick, we thank you for your past presence on the Penguin Club board and as a past president of the Penguin Club. You meant a lot to do there for us, and we appreciated it all. We thank each of you for your past, and many of you have been here from the beginning. So we thank you for your past, your present, and your future support of the Penguin Club. Some of what I was going to say has already been said. The comments from our student athletes, the comments from Rick, what has been achieved from these functions, our golf outings, our jamborees, this banquet, memberships, contributed thousands of dollars to our Olympic sports. Our Olympic sports are non-revenue sports, which we have 18 plus the 3 revenue sports. So the scholarship monies go to the Olympic sports. All the athletes that have been successful as championship contenders in all of our sports, and I think Coach Gorby's got the record that'll never be surpassed, I'm sure. I think it's 35 or 36, I've lost track, but he's got rings. He doesn't have enough fingers for all the rings that he has. But congratulations to our track and all the other championship student athletes. Little did I know 34 years ago that I'd end up standing up here. I promise you that this evening will not go past 9 o'clock. There was an old football coach, athletics director, and university president said, if you go to 9 o'clock, there will be consequences. Never found out what those were because we always were afraid. In closing, I would just like to say again, thank you for being here and supporting us. The President talked about Kilcawley and the things that are expected there. The Penguin Club was able to make a small $100,000 donation to that, which we're very grateful for. Looking forward, though, to seeing that building and what it'll bring to our campus and the student athletes. I'd like to say also that our student athletes and coaches are to be commended. They bring not only local recognition, but national recognition to the school, to the athletic program, and help build our student body. We've got over 500 student athletes, and we're probably leading the country in grade point average. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but it's way higher than what I had. And I'd like to thank my wife. Thank you all for being here tonight. Be safe. Take time going home and be safe. Thank you.
Rick, Jim, and Kathy, congratulations. Jim, you worried me there for a minute. I don't mind telling you. You said 9 o'clock. It's 8:35 when you said that. I thought, I didn't think he'd make it through what he said, but for another 25 minutes, I wouldn't have made it through what he was going to say. Jim, congratulations. It's long overdue. Before we let you go tonight, we just want to kind of give you a heads up of some upcoming events. We want to wish head coach Brian Gorby opportunity to win 2 more rings. His men's and women's track and field teams will compete in the Horizon League Indoor Championships at Purdue Fort Wayne this weekend. Men's golf is currently in Florida, competing at the World Golf Village Collegiate. We wish head coach Melissa Jackson and her women's basketball team the best of luck this week. They have a pair of games at Robert Morris on Wednesday, then home on Saturday to host Green Bay. The lacrosse team plays host to Butler this Friday in the Watts at 6 p.m. The baseball team is at UT San Antonio this weekend. Also, congratulations to our first-year head coach, Trevor Sharpie, for his first career win yesterday at Abilene Christian. The softball team is in Rock Hill, South Carolina for the weekend, as we wish all of our teams the very best of luck. Again, thank you again for your support. Our Penguins of the Year, Rick Frida, Jim and Kathy Morrison, if they would please stand for one more round of applause. If you know Jim, he says the bar is open. Thank you. We'll see you at the game. We appreciate all your support. Have a good evening.